Hey guys, it's Nicholas here from upgradeTolife.com and welcome to this video which is called How to Actually Believe in Your Desire Against All Odds. So even if the current circumstances show you the complete opposite, it looks like that it is not possible, your mind seemingly has no reason to believe that it's possible, how can you actually from a deeper point of view, from a real foundation, believe it? I'm not speaking about this fake believing or acting as if where you still have subtle doubts and where you're still internally living in the consciousness of not having it. No, I mean, how can you actually full 100% believe in your desire, know it is possible, know it is done, shift into the end state, even if it seems complicated at the moment? This is what I would like to cover in this video. And with that, let's just dive right in. Now, the first thing that we need to understand, it's just a little quick refresher, is that whatever you believe to be true about yourself will be expressed in your world, right? So whatever is natural to you, in nature, you have beliefs about yourself, right? How much money you make, are you wanted, are you loved, do you have problems in talking with other people, everything that you are convinced of yourself, everything that is a natural part of your self-concept, that is what is expressed around you, that is what is expressed in your world, that is what you get mirrored back from people, circumstances, events. That's just what the mirror reflects, because that is what you have alive within yourself. That's your inner convictions, right? But the good news, of course, and you should already know this by now, is that they are not set in stone. And if you're convinced about things that are expressing unloving, undesirable stuff right now in your world, we can change those inner convictions, of course, to our liking. And now here's the first key point that I want to make with this video. And that is that you can't rationally bring yourself to belief, right? The mind is bound to the senses. And I want to explain this point because people don't get this, right? People have the desire. They go online, watch some videos, and then they say, okay, now I just have to believe it right now. I just need to believe it. I need to believe that it's true. I need to believe that I can have this. But how do you want to do that exactly? Explain that to me. You can't just say, I believe, because you have no reason to believe it. Your mind sees the complete opposite. Your mind sees, your senses tell you that it is not there yet. And from your conditioning or maybe from your past, you never had it, or you never did it, so how could you even believe that it is possible? You can't rationally believe it, right? So from my opinion, and I will explain this later, is don't try to force your mind to believe it. The mind is bound to the senses, meaning the mind only believes what is currently there. It's very limited. It has a limited point of view. So if you just go based on that and then you force yourself to believe, it creates this resistance and you feel delusional. You feel like, oh, but if I'm honest with myself, I actually don't believe that I can have it. Actually don't trust myself enough. And then you see, that's not the point. So again, you can't rationally with your mind and force bring yourself to believe. And we will later cover again how to really believe, how to fully believe and know and trust and live in this inner conviction that it is done, that your desired state, that who you want to be, what you want to have does exist, is ready, is available, and now that it is yours. Okay, so that this can manifest. And the belief in the fulfilled desire, right? So the belief in your desire, the belief in the wish fulfilled state, the belief that you have what you want to have, the belief that you are now who you want to be, that's the only requirement for the manifestation. So in this, let's call it, I know it will sound conceptual, but it's very true. In this three-dimensional world, this world of senses, this world of time and space that we perceive via the mind, things happen in bridges, right? So if there would be no time and space experience and you would just imagine that you stand on the beach, you'd imagine that you drive in your dream car, you'd imagine that your desired relationship, your desired partner is right in front of you, you would and that you're with them. You would imagine that you are a wealthy person. If there would only be imagination, which there actually is, it would instantly be there. So it's instantly there. You would imagine it, you would tune into it, boom, and it's already there. It's already done, like Neville said. An imaginative act is like a creative act because you just become aware that, oh, that does already exist. However, then you open your eyes again, so you come out of your imaginal session, for example, and then your senses still tell you the opposite. But your senses are persuading you. Your senses are luring you in. And if you then fall back into the senses and you don't remember that, wait a second, what you just experienced actually is real, you're asleep again. But what we want to learn right now is that the medium through which we basically bring the unseen reality into our seen world is because we have this belief, we have this conviction, we have this knowingness. We dwell in this wish fulfilled long enough until it becomes natural, and then it manifests. So again, would there be no 3D experience, no time, no space, and we would imagine something, boom, it would instantly be there. But because we perceive life through the senses, through the mind, things happen more slowly if you remain loyal to that, if you remain loyal to the unseen reality, if you remain faithful. And therefore the belief in this world that we live in is actually the only requirement for the manifestation, right? The belief, we can translate it also to the conviction, the certainty, the knowingness, the naturalness, the wish-fulfilled state. Don't get confused by the wording, but it's just that the requirement is that you know it is done within, that internally you experienced it, you shifted into it, you internally aligned yourself to that wish-fulfilled state, right? So again, you actually have it instantly. So it can be instantly yours. Your desire can be instantly yours if you close your eyes and internally align to that state and make that state alive where you do have it, where you feel yourself to have it, where you feel the relief and the closure of that state. You know it is within you. You capture it. You imagine what it would be like. You imagine scenes. You hear people congratulate you on it. And that is when you are in that state. You have it already. But then because of your senses, you need to go through a bridge, and then you will encounter it also in this world. So therefore the belief, you need to stay loyal to that state. You need to remain in that state, in that end state, is the only requirement for the manifestation. Right? These are some basics just to cover them. And what does it actually mean to believe in your desire? Right? That's a good question. And this is what Neville said. He said, right, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. What are unseen things? What are things not seen to your mind? That's imagination. That's what you experience imaginatively. That's the imaginative acts, the imaginative words and images, and whatever you perceive via your imagination. Remember, Neville's teachings is imagination creates reality. We could translate it even better and say, okay, what you imagine is what you shift into. But it's not really creating something because that already exists. What you imagine does already exist. But faith, again, is loyalty to this unseen reality. It's the substance of things hoped for. And if you have faith about something, then that's already the evidence that this thing does exist. How could you otherwise be even faithful to something that does not exist? So it's the evidence of things that are not seen to your mortal you, to this mortal part of you, this human part of you. But this deeper part of you knows that it is already there. So that faith, we can translate it also, is the conviction, right? The conviction, the belief of things that are unseen. And if we remain in that conviction, if we keep that belief alive, and if we doubt, we imagine that end state again. So we're back in the wish fulfilled. That will, of course, lead to the manifestation. And now that's the question of this video that I want to cover right now, is how do you attain faith, belief, knowing, certainty, naturalness, right? How do you go into this wish-fulfilled state and therefore start to have faith, start to believe? Again, it's not just by sitting there and affirming that you believe it right now, affirming that you believe it. You can still affirm that you believe in your desire, but if you're still internally in the consciousness, in the awareness, if you're still conscious of the opposite, still doubting, still having worries, then you're not really in it. Therefore, you do not fully believe. You just tell yourself that you believe, but actually you don't. Actually, you still have doubts. Actually, you still have worries. And therefore, that's just mocking the game. That's not really doing it correctly. But if you imagine a scene, right? If you conceive a scene that implies to you that your desire is fulfilled, and you imagine that, right? I always say this, but I have the feeling that some people don't really do that, and they continue to watch more videos because they think, okay, there needs to be something more. No, follow that, try that, test that, apply that, right? So right now, your world shows you something, you want the opposite, all the odds speak against you, you want something completely else, and you can't believe it. That's understandable because you can't, because your mind has no reason to believe it. Now you start to imagine that you have it, that you are it. Then you come out of it, you still see the opposite, and you doubt again. You imagine that scene again, that congratulation. You hear the words again. You feel the steering wheel again. You touch the sand again. You see your best friend telling you something and hearing his voice again. Whatever you do it again, and you do it again, and you dwell on there. And by imagining the scene that implies to you that your wish is fulfilled, faith happens as a consequence of that inner experience, right? So you will gain a new level of faith that you maybe have never experienced before, because previously you just stayed in your head, in your mind. Now you imagine something that your mind can't even experience. It's outside of the mind. It's beyond mind, right? And because of that imaginative experience of that real end that you just witnessed, that you just encountered again and again and again, that conviction grows, that faith grows, and the world can tell you it's not there yet, it's not true, but you know it. You're convinced about it from experience, not from thinking. Huge difference. So faith, right? Faith, knowing, belief, naturalness, the certainty, the self-persuasion happens as a consequence of that subjective, imaginative experience of that end. So when I wanted to manifest the business, trips, the relationship, the car, the apartment, the money, all the time, whenever I started, I couldn't believe it. I had doubts, I had worries, I don't know. But right now I don't believe that I have this. Right now I don't believe that it is possible for me. And I couldn't, because I never did it before. No one around me did it before. Then I started to ask myself, okay, what would imply for me that I have this thing or that thing? What would my best friend say to me? What would my parents say to me? What would this person say to me? What would I do differently? How would I wake up? How would I go to bed? What would imply for me personally, if I had, let's say it happened yesterday, what would be different tomorrow? What would imply to me that this is now in my life? And then you come up with a scene. It can be very, very simple thing. And then again, you imagine that. You don't think about that scene. You don't write it down and do nothing about it. No, you sit down for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, and you really imagine that scene as if it would happen right now in front of you. You really immerse yourself in that scene. And while doing that, you realize and remember that this is real. Imagination is real. It's spiritual sensation. You sense that already existing version of you, that already existing snippet of creation, that already existing portion of creation that you now via your imagination tune into, and you download that state, you realign to that state, to that version of you, and that's what you do. But you don't think about all of that stuff. The only thing that you do is you experience that scene, and that's the only thing you do. And the naturalness will come automatically. The conviction, the faith will grow, like I said, as a consequence of you experiencing that scene. Don't focus on anything else. Right? And also, now I know that some of you don't like imagining scenes, you don't like even hearing congratulation scenes where you only focus on hearing. So even if you play with I remember when, I remember when I had those symptoms. I remember when I wanted to manifest that desire, that partner, this person. I remember when I wanted to manifest that car. That's also you putting yourself more and more in, this is old, now I have this alive. So via this inner movement, right, via internal movement, not via thinking, but via inner movement, inner shifts, in a new state, in a new viewpoint that you view life from, you adopt this faith, right? And then you have faith in something that is right now still not seen, not visible for the world, but this loyalty, this faith, this knowing of this invisible state will very soon be reflected back to you. And here's a key point, right? Imagine for the sake of being and having it now, not to get it. This is something that many of my clients always tell me after a couple of weeks or sometimes months, that this has been a huge revelation for them, is that they always use imagination as a fancy little gimmicky tool to get something, right? So, okay, let me just imagine this to hopefully get it very soon. But if you do it like that, it's very subtle, but what happens is that you keep the desired state at a distance. You're not embodying having it here and now. But your world only shows you what you have here and now, not what you still look for and wait for. So imagine for the sake of having the experience of the wish fulfilled right here, right now. Don't wait for a manifestation. Of course, yes, we want it. That's fine. But don't wait for a manifestation. If you sense desiring again, if you sense lack again, if you want the desire again, have the imaginative experience of the end. And while you are imaginatively experiencing it, while your consciousness basically dwells in the reality where you do have it, where you are it, you can no longer desire it. It is done. You live in the wish fulfilled. You dwell in the version of you that already has it, that already has achieved the goal, that already lives the desired lifestyle, whatever it might be. So really imagine for the sake of having the experience of the wish fulfilled here and now. Then you stop waiting, you stop delaying, you stop still keeping the desired state at a distance, and then the mirror can actually confirm what is now natural within yourself. Right? Because if you try and you say, I need to try more, I need to imagine more to hopefully get it soon, you manifest more trying, you delay more, you push the wish fulfilled away. But if you just go in imagination, remembering that this is actually real, this is the experience within consciousness, which is then mirrored back to you in the 3D world, so then you do apply it correctly. Right? You just have the experience in the here and now. So let's say you want a car. Let's make a practical example. Instead of you saying, I need to imagine 5 times a day to hopefully get it very soon. Whenever the desire comes up for the car, I would sit down. That's what I did too. I just experienced this scene where this friend said this, where this person said this, and congratulated me on it. And in this moment, I felt such a relief, such a satisfaction, that I opened my eyes again and the desire was gone. I didn't even want it any longer. I didn't even desire it any longer because it was already done. I just witnessed that I already have it. It's done within me. Right? Internally, I aligned myself to that state, to that reality where I do have it, where it's normal for me. And then the world can reflect it. Then the world can confirm it to me. And also interesting for you to understand is that you can only expand your limits of belief through your imagination. So would you have not the capacity to imagine something else, you would be bound by your present set of beliefs. But via your imagination, you can outgrow your present level of beliefs. So let's take a person, for example, who wants to manifest more money. Now they maybe earn, let's say, $2,000 a month right now, but they want to make $10,000 a month, for example. They have no reason to believe, first of all, that it is possible because their conditioning, their current circumstances, everything is shouting at them that it's not possible, and against all odds, how do you want to do that? So their belief is, okay, maybe I can double it. That is maybe still possible, but five-folding that is not possible. But now if they go imaginatively in a state where they already make 10K a month, they can outgrow their level of beliefs via their imagination. So it's super powerful. And what we want to do, that is what so many people forget, is they hear all of this, they come into Neville, then they start to apply some things, and then they are in the end state. But then 1 day later, 1 week later, they get a trigger, they get a doubt, they get a worry, they fall out of it, and then they do nothing about it. Then they stay in the trigger. Then they dwell in the trigger. Then they just keep doubting and nurturing again the old state of not having it, of not being it. But what is very important is that you need to return back to this inner experience. You need to return back in the end state. You need to return back in the wish fulfilled. You can't just have a wishy-washy approach where, like, okay, 1% in the day I'm in the wish fulfilled state, but 99% of the day I'm just dwelling on doubts and worries and fears and complaining that I'm not there yet. No, when you notice that you're triggered, when you notice that you doubt, when you notice that it's not here yet, you need to consciously make a pause, calm down, and return back in the wish fulfilled, and return back in this imaginative experience, return back in your scene that implies to you that you do already have it. Right? The end state, the state of the wish fulfilled, where you believe it, where you are in it, denies all separation, denies all hopes, all worries, all doubts, all longing, all desiring. In the end state, you have it, you are it. And you need to make that alive. And the more you make that alive internally, the more you then automatically start to believe and know that it is possible. And like I said, you will reach a point of satisfaction, of relief, because of that imaginative experience that you have. So by dwelling in the wish fulfilled long enough, sorry for that spelling mistake, by dwelling in the wish fulfilled long enough, you will start to believe and be convinced about this unseen reality. That is the key point. That's the final concluding point of this video. Right? So you can dwell on the wish fulfilled a little bit and then still fall back into the old state, the current circumstances, and doubt. That's normal. That happens to all of us. But you return back to it. You dwell in there again. You witness the end again. You shift into the end state again. Your belief will grow. It will get stronger. Your faith will grow until the point of conviction, until the point of certainty, of knowingness, right? And when you then believe it, then of course you will get the confirmation. Of course, then you will get the manifestation of the state that you now made alive within yourself. And that is how you start to believe in your desire against all odds. The circumstances can be as they want to be. Remember, they're never bigger than you. Your problems depend on you. It's not that you depend on your problems. Your problems depend on you. If you give them life, if you give them energy, if you give them attention, if you react on them again and again and again, you will perpetuate it. If you zoom out and realize, okay, as soon as you internally go in a new room, aka a new state of consciousness, you shift your self-concept, you identify with new things, with new beliefs, you become someone else within, then the current problems, first of all, will seem no longer like you. They will start to seem very unnatural, and you will no longer react on them, because now internally you are already living in that state. And over time, circumstances will mold, and you will get new things reflected back to you, right? So that's it for this video. That is how you believe in your desire. You believe in your desire by returning so often in the wish-fulfilled state that it becomes certain and natural and your new standard. And then, of course, you believe it, even though it is still unseen for the world. But you know it is true because you experienced it. You didn't thought about it. You literally had that imaginative experience. You heard that friend's voice again and again and again. Or you saw that visual scene playing out again and again and again to the point where you know it. And if you doubt, you return back, right? So that's it from my side. If you have any questions, feedback, comments, then just leave them down below. Also, if you need more help on this, you know, I always have the two main links available. The first is my free masterclass, where in a very no hype, no fluff, no woo-woo way, I explain to you the basics, what to focus on, what to really do to get your desired outcomes in your life, and to also increase faith, to also be the version of you that has the desires present in your life. So check out this video. It's at the same time my email newsletter. And if you want to work with me and make all of this more like a lifestyle, not just a fancy teaching that you watch some videos about, and you want to manifest your desires and you want me to keep you accountable, then just apply for a free consultation call where we can find out if we are a good fit to work together. That's the second link in the video description and pinned comments. And that's it. Speak to you in the next one. Bye, guys.